Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our next week at the South Houston Bible Institute course of Stewarding Your Personal Finances. If some of you are just joining for the first time, I'm going to call myself the course organizer. Yes, I'm the course instructor, but I'm telling you what, when we have great guests like you guys had the last 2 weeks, Justin Bennett teaching about the budget spreadsheet, the one that he and I kind of wrote and put together. And then last week, what's the systematic approach to tackling debt? I've got to give the credit to those guys, and I can't wait to, I've previewed Byron's presentation tonight. I know Byron for 10 or 12 years, he and his family, and what, from church. And I've seen the way that he teaches their kids. I'll have a funny garage sale story to tell about one of his kids a little later on. But I'm so thrilled. These guys make my job, so much easier just to sit here and organize and throw in my 2 cents worth. So, but anyway, welcome. We're glad you're here tonight. So, we were just talking about takeovers or questions or aha moments from actually any of the first, week 5, any of the first 4 weeks, specifically the budget spreadsheet, or the debt snowball. Again, this class, for those of you who answered, well over $500,000 of debt, and that is not including any mortgages. So that's a lot of money. And, when you are on the other side of that, my wife and I have been fortunate to have followed these principles, for the last 20 years, and we've been debt-free for about 13 years, including the mortgage. And so we've just been blessed to be able to give. So you're not talking to a theorist here. I've lived it, I've done it, I've breathed it. I feel like hopefully I can impart a little bit of wisdom and a ton of cheerleading for you guys. So sometimes some of my cheerleading may sound a little bit in your face, but I'm going to tell you, just do it. Because the emotional freedom that comes from not having debt, not having a noose around your neck, you don't understand it until you get there. And I'll tell you again one little other story, about Byron and his wife here in a minute, when I officially introduce him. But takeaways, questions, answers, aha moments, experiments that you guys are taking from the class thus far. Just before we officially started recording, Waukesha was saying, you know what? My kids nickel and dime me to death. Football concession stands and this and that and the other. So I'm trying the distribution. I'm budgeting X dollars every 2 weeks. And I went to my kids and I said, this is your money for the 2 weeks. Don't come to me every other day or every time you go out with your friends. I am going to entrust you with your 2-week amount, and I'm going to replenish this every 2 weeks. I want to do a better job of teaching you guys how to manage it, and I want to have a bunch of money left for your inheritance. So well done, Waukesha, for teaching that. Keep us posted. Let us know how that goes. She said that she has one saver and one spender. Her prediction is that one child is going to have the entire amount left at the end of the 2 weeks, and the other child's going to have it gone in about 2 or 3 or 4 days. Choices, and I told her, okay, just when you do something like that, puppy dog eyes does not equal more money because mom is caving. Let's see here. Any other, and Tarver was just sharing about the power of the budget spreadsheet, knowing what to pay when. If you haven't looked at that spreadsheet, look at the spreadsheet, watch the video. It is powerful. Anybody else? Any other sharing thoughts, aha moments, revelations, pay raises, something? And you could either stick it in the chat or answer it out loud. Is anybody trying any cash money in a cash envelope? Or are you approaching a payday, maybe the 1st of October? Okay, I'm going to try groceries, or I'm going to try eating out. Is anybody, if there's one thing you guys take out of this class, I'm going to encourage you to try cash money in one impulse spending area. let's do that. If there was an area, what impulse area, and it has to work with your lifestyle. I get it. If you order all your groceries on Amazon, it doesn't work. I can tell you how to make it work. But put in the chat maybe one envelope. If I held a gun to your head and said you gotta have cash in one envelope, what envelope would it be for you guys? Stick that in the chat.
Or I tried it. This is Diana. I tried it, and I did it with my household budget.
Okay.
And I actually ended up with $6 left.
So that is a huge, huge win. Applause, applause, applause. Mm-hmm. So what that teaches you is, okay, the good news is, and if you don't, I'm not asking, well, I don't know, we're all friends here. Do you get paid every 2 weeks or once a month, or what is your pay structure right now, Diana?
Once a month.
Okay. So you tried it for a month and you put a month's worth in. Is that what you did?
Right. Yes.
And so at the end of that is a huge win. So one of two things with that $6, and you're going to say it's only $6. So you can do one of two things. Woohoo, celebrate. Take that $6 and apply it to your debt snowball if you have debt, or whatever other area you may be a little short budget wise, or you can just, like, for something like that, because you might not have bought the liquid plumber this month, or you bought the gazillion size mouthwash. So next month it's going to be toilet paper, just for household, for car repair, for pet vet, those types of things. I would probably just let that money continue to build. Okay.
That's what I would. Yeah, that's what I said.
So when you
put it in an envelope and just hold on to it.
Yep. Yep. And so when you get paid, guess what? You get to refill it again. And now I will say this, and everybody listen. So I will say this: if you are going to continually have $5 or $10 left over, well, guess what? And we'll talk more about this in our session on finding new money. She just found an extra $5 or $10 in her budget. She proved to herself month after month after month. And if your number was, I don't know, making something up, $100, and if now month after month you think you could do it on 95 and 95 and 95, we just found an extra $5. I don't have money to put away for Christmas. I don't have money to put away for dog vet. I don't have, you want me to start a budget category for everything? Well, things are tough. Well, she possibly may have just found $5. And if you do that in eating out, groceries, about 4, 5, or 6 different areas of your life, all of a sudden you're finding $20, $50 a month extra, because you're not swiping the stupid plastic.
Right.
And remember what we teach on that. And Justin said it well. He said it about 3 times. I listened to every word he taught you guys. We spend about an extra 13 to 20%, 13 to 19% more when we swipe. You carry cash. It was kind of hard getting it out of the purse and paying for cash, wasn't it, Diana?
It was hard getting it out of the bank, and then getting it out of my purse and giving it to the machine. It was difficult, but I did it. And I actually went to a different store, so that helped out a little bit as well.
Again, what is your why? Why are you even in this class? Is it to steward money better? Is it to get out of debt so you can retire early and spend time with kids and grandkids? If your why is strong enough, you'll figure out how. But I had to go to the bank and the ATM machine. That's fine. You want to spend time with your grandkids or not? And so it's that tough kind of, like Justin, mentioned, John Maxwell. Are we going to be all outs? Are we going to be cop outs? Are we going to be dropouts? So go. Eating out, that's a big one. Let's see here. Lunch. Okay, so lunch. Here's how you figure lunch. Okay, I eat out. I eat out 3 days a week on average for lunch. Roughly $15, $45. I get paid every 2 weeks. I would say pull a $90 bill out on payday. And guess what? That is your eating out money for lunch for 2 weeks. And if you want to go to a $90 lunch tomorrow, It's peanut butter and jelly the rest of the 2 weeks, as opposed to, oh, who cares? This is hard. I've had a bad day. I'm stressed. Fill in the blank with excuse-itis, and then all of a sudden, and before long, it's like, you know what? Wow, I really do spend a lot on eating out. I'd rather put that towards debt because I want to retire early, or I'm nervous about how much I have in savings, or I'm supposed to be teaching my church about money. And here I am, when you actually put the pencil to paper, holy smokes, I'm dropping $300 a month on lunch. You just make different choices. We'll try a 2 week allowance in a couple of weeks. Again, I know the pay periods are, maybe not falling. Eating out's huge. Yep. Now, for your lunches too, I will say, don't cut yourself too short. If you stop at coffee shop in the morning, what my wife and I is, we call that pocket money. So pocket money, my wife and I each get about $125 a month. We get paid once a month. We each get $125 for pocket money. That's a no questions asked. If I'm buying lunch on my own, it comes out of my pocket money. If I want a ice cream, a Coke, a cup of coffee, a Starbucks, whatever, that comes out of that. So don't say, nope, I do $15 3 days a week. Oh, yeah, I forgot I smoke. Oh, I forgot. Wait a minute. I do coffee 5 days a week. Oh, wait a minute. On the way home, I always get the Sonic Happy Hour. That's another $1.89 every day, 5 days. That's $10 a week. I need to add $20 to my pocket money, because if you set yourself up to, I would rather it be tight, but don't overlook some of the simples. And then you quit after 2 weeks and you say that didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you forgot everything. And that's some of the little intricate details that if you watch that video on the budget spreadsheet will work. All right. I've gone too long. Byron, can you do this in an hour?
Absolutely, Greg.
All right. So Byron Stickney, I've known he and his wife, very early on, since before they got married, and have just watched the way at church they've come to some financial peace classes, I think, that I taught. Byron's wife's two brothers, again, good money managers. So just the whole trio of kids, whether or not they learned it from mom and dad a little bit, yes, because they were all in business for themselves. But as far as, young couples, and I can say young because I'm old, I'm 62, younger couples, in their, when they got married, I guess probably mid to late 20s, and now maybe early 30s even, but just doing it right. The fun story for Byron and his kids. I was having a garage sale, and Byron, how old was Ellie a year ago?
7.
So her 7-year-old daughter said, Mr. Gregg, you have $2 marked on this. I think it was a stuffed animal. Would you take $1? And she had the cash in her hand. And I said, yes, of course. And so she paid me. It wasn't mommy coming up and saying, hey, Greg, this is for Ellie. Will you take $1? It was mom teaching Ellie, holding the cash for yourself, asking the question for yourself. And more than likely, Byron's probably going to share this, more than likely that dollar didn't come from mommy's purse. More than likely, and I don't think the Stickney, it's Byron Stickney is his last name, I don't think the Stickney kids get allowance, because for some parents that's a dirty word. However, I bet you, if I were guessing, Ellie earned that dollar by doing her chores. There is no such thing as a free lunch. And then if Ellie chose to spend that on a stuffed animal at a garage sale, this was a 7-year-old making a choice. I may hurt somebody's feelings right now, and Byron may do this as well. Oh, well, here you go. Here comes the church collection plate. And mom hands the little girl or the little boy, or dad hands the little boy or the little girl the dollar bill. Here, put this in the plate. All you're telling your kid is you're the courier or you're the mailman for the money. It was really mom's money that went in the plate. I didn't do that. I have no emotional tie to that money. I'm just throwing it in the plate, because mom doesn't know how or won't. And so, wow, tough, Greg. So Byron's going to talk about relationships and money and talking about it from a spousal standpoint and a kid's standpoint. And I can't wait to listen. Take it away, Byron.
All right. Thank you, Greg. I always smile when I hear that story about Eliane. Um, it was a good learning moment for her. So tonight, again, I'm talking about relationships and money. We're going to go through spouses. We're going to talk about the kids and then the family, extended family, and then everybody else. Because everybody's got their own opinions on how you need to manage your money. Everybody's got their own opinions on how you need to treat your kids and your money. Everyone wants to share their advice on your money, but at the end of the day, it's your money, and you need to be able to make smart decisions about how you navigate those relationships and your money. So a little bit about me. Again, my name is Byron Stickney. I was married in 2013. I've now been married 10 years, and I've got 3 kids, 8, 5, and 2. It's a girl, a boy, and a girl. For work, I'm an engineer and I'm a project manager. So I manage construction projects for different entities. And then I've been doing the baby steps, following Dave Ramsey's Biblical Money Management since 2007. My dad gave me the Total Money Makeover book in 2007. I read it in 2007. Haven't always been the best at following it, but I've always tried to implement the principles of it and kind of keep the faith of that that it's going to work out. That being said, it has worked out in several very significant ways in my life. In 2018, after working with the company for 6 years, I got laid off. And because I had managed my money in this method, we had just finished paying off my wife's student loan debt, uh, and we had an emergency fund built. I was out of work for 2 months, but we were okay, and we didn't have to panic, and we didn't have to race around, and I didn't have to take um, uh, this or that job. I was able to take my time and just kind of find the right job after being laid off. And then almost 5 years to the day, just last month, actually. So August 25th, I got laid off again. Uh, uh, this last time, I definitely don't have the emergency fund that I had built the first time because we've bought a house. We've had 2 more kids since that first time around, and but even still, I'm not stressed about it. I know that God's going to provide, and I know that being the ant in the story instead of the grasshopper. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the story of the ant and the grasshopper, where the ant saves and saves and saves and stores up for winter, but the grasshopper is just hopping around thinking summer will never end. And then when winter comes, the grasshopper's out of luck and the ant has saved. And so that mentality of always, always building up for when you know that winter's going to come, because winter's always going to come. It's just like the story of Noah in the flood. Uh, if you build yourself an ark, you're going to survive the flood. And more often than not, a flood's going to happen to you, whether you want to or not. So that's kind of my money story. And right now, I'm still looking for work. I was interviewing all day with a company, so just got back, and now I'm teaching this class. So at any rate, that's just a little bit about me so that y'all can understand where I've come from. The map for the session tonight, we're going to go through spousal relationships first. And then I'm going to move into teaching kids about money, and then dealing with parents. Dealing with parents is a very interesting little dynamic when it comes to money. And then last, we're going to talk about everybody else, because the rules for talking to everybody else about money is real simple. So let's start with spousal relationships. Like I said in my intro there, I've been married for 10 years now. I'm definitely not a perfect husband by any means. I'm definitely not even a good husband most of the time, but we have been able to build a relationship together, and that's just what it is. It's a relationship. What When we got married, they jokingly told me that what's mine is yours and what's yours is now hers. So that's kind of what I put there. But in the same vein of that, it's not yours or mine anymore. It's ours. So everything in the relationship, money, and especially that's the foundation of everything you own. The money is both of y'all's. It's not for me to decide. It's not for my wife to decide. It's for us to decide together. It's a partnership. Two have now become one. And with two becoming one, we don't keep separate accounts. All of our accounts are joint accounts. My wife has full access to all my accounts. I have full access to all the accounts. Anytime we want to look at them, we can look at them. There's no money over here. There's no money over there. That being said, she still does like to hold cash for Christmas presents and that kind of thing. That way, when I'm looking at the credit card statement or the debit card statement or the bank accounts or whatever, I'm not seeing whatever she bought on Amazon for my Christmas present or my birthday present or whatever. So she does like to keep little cash aside for those kinds of things, just to not spoil the surprise. But as far as the base of our money, everything is shared. When you get into retirement planning with your spouse, she can have they can have a Roth IRA and you can have a Roth IRA, and it increases the amount that you can put into a Roth IRA, because she can put into hers and you can put into yours, which improves your retirement. But she's the first one beneficiary on mine. I'm the first beneficiary on hers. And we both have access to those accounts, even though those are the only two that are not joint accounts. They're not true joint accounts, because that's the nature of the Roth IRA account. So that would be the one exception. So first rule, don't keep separate accounts. And then second here, I've got your lifestyle needs to line up with your actual income. So it's a relationship. I'm stressing ship there with my picture. And then because it's a ship, one ship cannot have two captains. If you're trying to both steer the ship in two different directions, lifestyle wise, then you're going to sink your ship, or that's just two boats that are tied together and they're going to come apart. So you need to make sure that you're on the same ship, sailing in the same direction, that your lifestyle needs match up with their lifestyle needs. And like Greg was saying there at the beginning, with the pocket money, I really liked what he said, because my wife, she absolutely does that. Happy hour Sonic run. Got to go get a tea every day. Got to go get a Coke sometimes when the kids are really rambunctious. But I'm not like that. I don't like that spending money in my pocket. So I don't usually buy those things, but she definitely needs those. And that's been one of our things where our lifestyle had to come to terms together. And so,
and Byron, I want to jump in, and I just want to jump in and make a little bit of note. You brought up a account about, because a lot of times people will throw back, having sat through thousands of coaching sessions. That's a perfect example. Well, I want separate accounts because my husband spends on this and I spend on this, or I don't want him knowing what I'm spending here or not, spending here. Typically those two accounts, again, I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here. That comes down to nothing but selfishness. A lot of times it's like, well, I want to spend my shoes on shoes and he spends too much on hunting. So heck with that. We're going to have two separate accounts, and he's going to pay the electric and gas and water, and I'm going to pay the mortgage and the phone and the da 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 da. There is no partnership there. All you guys are is independent business partners who happen to be sleeping together. And so then you wake up 10 years from now and it's like, well, we haven't saved anything for, kids. So, that's a kind of maybe a bit of a crude elementary way of putting things. But what if we say, let's talk about this? And his wife's name is Sarah. Sarah, I want you to have your pocket money. Go do it. If you're going to spend it on Sonic Happy Hour, cool. What if husband and wife could come together and say, I love you for who you are, where you are right now. Okay, we can afford a little bit of shoe money. Let's put shoes in the budget. Let's put hunting, fishing, coins, baseball cards in the budget. And if we can agree on that, why do we have to have all these separate accounts? Go ahead.
Yep, that's a great point, Greg. That if you're not sharing those things, and if you don't have that visibility and you can't build that trust, then how do you think you're going to maintain that trust throughout the rest of your relationship? So either one of you can sink the ship if you row into two different directions. So you got to be pulling together on your ship. You got to be focused on the same things. But there's a lot of little things that float around that you can still have in your world, and you can still be two separate people, even though you're partnered up in your marriage on these things. So moving on, continuing the spousal relationship, matching up your expectations. Conflict happens when expectations do not match reality. So great example of this is we've been cleaning out our garage. I've been throwing things, trying to get rid of a bunch of old paperwork of mine. And so the house has been a mess. We had some friends coming over to the house, and my wife was expecting me to have all of my paper mess cleaned up from all my old filing. And she got home and it was not cleaned up at all. And it created conflict because her expectations, even though she had not really voiced her expectations to me that she expected the house to be clean, she still had that expectation of the house was going to be clean. So that's how conflict happens, is when I have an expectation and reality doesn't match up with that, and I see that as your fault in the relationship. Or if she has an expectation, my reality doesn't match up with that, and so now we've got a conflict. So the big thing here with money is not to set unrealistic expectations. You're not, so for example, in my household, I'm the breadwinner in the house. My wife stays at home with the kids, doing schooling. And if she expected me to be making $1 million a year, sorry, honey, but that's an unrealistic expectation. I'm not, for whatever reason, I don't make that kind of money. So you have to set your expectations together. That way, when you're assessing your expectations, you can come to the same conclusion together. And remember, when you're setting your expectations about how your money is going to work for you or how you're going to work your money, there are no rules. Just because Joe Bob down the street just bought a new boat and he's going out to the lake every day fishing because he's got this online business and pulling down the big dollars, that doesn't mean you have to be doing that either. I spend a lot of time on YouTube flipping through different things, and there's always some influencer out there trying to convince me that, oh, this is the right way to make $1 million or to, grow your business and all these easy steps. Well, there's no rules, and in your relationship with your spouse, y'all are the ones that set the rules. You're the ones that set the expectations. So, and if you set those expectations, remember the ship. You've got to be working together to drive your ship to get to those expectations. And then embrace your differences. You're both different. God made you different. That's why I threw the Wonder Twins up here. They were always much more powerful when they did their little Wonder Twins thing, and they're very different superheroes. But they combined their powers, and they were greater than the sum of who they were separately. So that's how they defeated whoever the villain was in the TV show. So embrace your differences. You don't bring the same things to the table as your partner, and you've got to work your budget together. And so make sure that no one's getting squelched in the conversation. Make sure no one is getting trampled on. Make sure that you're setting these goals together. Make sure you're choosing how to spend your money together. And it's taken me so just as a personal reference here, it's taken us a long time to get to this point. We started spending money together while we were still dating. We didn't combine bank accounts while we were still dating, but it was not an expectation when we first got married that she didn't want anything to do with the budget. And so getting both of us to sit down together, setting the budget and understanding, hey, this much is coming in, that much is going out. And those things change month to month, and they change a lot when you have a kid, and they change a lot more when you buy a house. And so it evolves over time, and you need to look at it a way to embrace your differences and grow in your relationship and really work together as a team. The more you work together as a team with this, the more you will work together as a team outside of this.
I want to jump in one more time here. Again, hopefully I'll get another wow from Annette, which means probably is like either eye-opening or in your face, one or the other. Again, when couples came in and talked to me, it's the infamous, oh, he manages money, I don't care whatever you say, honey. For those of you are in that position in your relationship, you may be saying that, or your spouse may be saying that to you, or if you're single, you may be saying that to yourself. So if I were married to Byron, for example, and I said, whatever you say, Byron, that's fine. So again, Justin alluded over the fact that if the average couple makes $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, and you're earning money from 25 to 65, that's $2 to $3 million over your lifetime passing through your fingertips. And you as an adult just said, oh, I don't care. Go ahead, Byron. You be the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. Your marriage, your income is a multi-million-dollar business. And for one spouse to say, oh, whatever you think, whatever you say, basically it's it's not good responsibility. And so whatever we can do, and sometimes you need that arbitrary go-between, a coaching session, to say, here's how you communicate about it. Because one of you guys is the nerd and one of you guys are more like, whatever, so you can't say whatever you care, and I can't remember who the shoe person is in here. I want the shoe person to say, I need $200 a month for shoes. And I want you guys to say, can you do it on 100? And then meanwhile, I'm not going to do 200 on guns. I'm going to do 100 on guns, or whatever your thing is. It's that type of communication. But the moment we say, well, I don't want to share my account because he's not going to let me buy shoes, or she's not going to let me buy fishing lures. Well, again, we've got to know, love, and appreciate how God made each one of us. And if it works in your budget, it's those types of communications. And we're not talking, this has got to be, this is like 15 minutes a month. Hey, did you know that we spend $800 a month on eating out? What do you think? What do you think that number could be to help us reach some other financial goals? Well, I don't care. I'm just going to eat out anyway. Okay, then we got other issues, but anyway, that's some of the Byron is living it and seeing it, and I'm just relaying it to what it sounds like when couples come into my office, and how do we actually get it started, and what does it sound like from a problem area. So take it away, Byron.
All right, so the last thing, I believe these are the last things on, I don't remember my slides show 100%, but so on spousal relationships, make sure you keep it closed. God made it man and woman, and he didn't say man and woman and the dude next door. He didn't say man and woman and the financial counselor. He didn't say man, woman, and kids even. So make sure you're protecting your spouse in the monetary part of the relationship as well. Keep it closed. No one else gets a vote on how you spend your money. Kids don't get a vote. You've got to protect each other. That's a big part of creating that trust relationship and creating that safe place relationship, is making sure that there's not going to be any surprises when they look at the bank statement, or when we talk about money together. There's not going to be suddenly a $500 gone missing from our budget. It's going to be there, and we both know what to expect together. So keeping it closed. Again, kids, they haven't even made it 20 years in this world, and I don't know why you would think that they get to make decisions. I listen to my kids, and then I make up my own mind. But for the most part, they haven't learned, they don't know, so they don't get to decide how I pay the mortgage, or they don't get to decide where we go to eat most of the time. They really like Chick-fil-A. My budget doesn't include Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A is really expensive. But anytime we ask them where they want to go eat, it's Chick-fil-A. So those kinds of things, you have to make sure your spouse is in agreement with it, and nobody else matters. 3 is a crowd. So if you want to include that financial coach who is good with their money, who can give you biblical good information on your finances, do that. That's fine. But remember, it's getting crowded in there, and he's or she is just giving advice. They're not telling you what to do or how to do it. That the final decision always needs to be up to you and your spouse. And then lastly, I think it's been a thread through all the rest of these, but I just wanted to point it out: transparency. You've got to keep everything open and honest with your spouse. Everything, every little detail. And it's not because they want to look over your shoulder or they want to micromanage you or any of that. You're in a partnership and you're building financial trust with your partner. And you've got to make sure that they have access to everything. You've got to make sure that you don't feel guilty about anything. So if you feel guilty about it, then you know you're going in the wrong direction. It's always a transparency thing. So those are my fundamental values when it comes to spousal relationships and managing the financial side of a spousal relationship. So now I'm going to move over to teaching kids about money.
Does anybody have any questions or comments, or put in the chat about kind of anything from a spousal perspective before we move on to kids? I know some of you may or may not have trouble communicating with your spouse. Start small. Hey, I need to ask you a financial question. Well, whatever you say, honey. Again, we can't cut that anymore. I really need your input. It's important to me. I'm finding that we're spending $1,200 a month out on groceries. How do you feel about that? So, some of them where the communication is just there isn't any, you have to start small. And, some of you could probably be teaching this way better than Byron and I. But those types of conversations, we're not afraid to have it. My wife and I don't have separate accounts. I know she's going to buy fabric and sewing stuff. Do I like it? No. So she is. We have it in the budget. So I don't care. And she doesn't go fishing. Well, okay, I buy plastic worms. But we agree that she's going to buy sewing stuff and I'm going to buy plastic worms. And we know that we each have our X dollars. That's open, that's honest, that's building trust. Here's where you lose the trust the moment one of us goes over our number for the month, which has never happened in our years of marriage. That's financial trust.
All right. So teaching kids money habits. Okay. So the first step to teaching anything is you got to set the example. It really is difficult to teach somebody something and you don't follow it yourself. So in setting the example, have self-control because little eyes are watching you. I don't know how many of you have kids yet, but they're little sponges. And if you think they're not watching, they are totally watching. And if you think they're not listening, they may or may not be listening. Most of the time, they are listening. So a couple of verses here that I put in about self-control is the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, which in that translation, it also comes out to patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And then Proverbs 25:28, a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. And self-control is the chief element in self-respect. And self-respect is the chief element in courage. That's from a Greek philosopher. So I have no idea how to say that name. It's Greek. So having self-control in all aspects of your life and setting that example for your children is one of the best ways to teach your children because they learn everything from watching you and watching the people around them. So set a healthy example for them and they'll be much more likely to follow it when they get older. So that's the first point. And next, you got to get them involved. So you got to show them money. One of the things that I learned when I first started showing my kids money was I'm trying to teach them, oh, this is a penny. Oh, this is a nickel. A dime is smaller than a nickel and a quarter. So showing them money, didn't realize this, but they put it in their mouth all the time. And I had to teach them money's dirty. It's really, really dirty. It goes through everybody's hands. So don't let them put it in their mouths. But show them money. You got to teach them the different denominations, especially if you're using cash. Um, and then have them save money. Uh, Saving money is a great way for them to see progress, or great way for them to get excited about it. Piggy banks are a great way to teach, but also reinforce basic math. Uh, we got these the picture here is a clear jar. It's just a clear plastic jar, and it's got a lid on it there. And there's a slot in the top of the lid, and you put the money in the slot, and the jar, it counts it up for you. I think these are like 20 bucks on, or not even 20 bucks on Amazon. But it was a really neat little purchase that my wife found for the kids to help them understand the penny's a lot smaller than a quarter. When you put a quarter in it, it jumps up by 25. When you put a penny in, it jumps up by 1. So there's big difference in the coin denominations, and it helps them understand the math. You're at $7.24, and if we put in a dime, what's it going to be at? Let's think about that. Oh, $7.34. That's exciting. So they get the little math problems there, helping them learn to count and helping them learn to just add up the coins, and then have them give money. So we did what Greg said, sort of not to do there at the beginning. So when they were very young, we started them with just a quarter, and that was mainly just my oldest daughter, because that was before COVID, when we still passed the plates. But they would pass the plates, and we'd have her drop a quarter in there just to build a habit. It wasn't so much that we were putting money in the plates, because they had electronic giving and that kind of thing. So we were donating in a different method, but having her just drop that coin in there, got her engaged in the service. It got her to realize that, oh, here in the service, we're going to pass a plate, and I need to put money in it. Now that she's graduated up and she's got this money jar, and she earns money different ways. She takes her dollar every Sunday to church. But now we don't pass the plates anymore, but there's a box in back. And so when we get to the point in the service where we should be passing the plates, she'll get up out of the pew and go to the back, put her dollar in the box in the back.
And you might even, so just think about this, guys. You think that little girl's developing character and a giving heart, whole lot different when it's her money versus Byron's dollar or quarter. And so that's what we teach with that.
She's only 8 right now, so it's more about building the habit than it is about understanding the habit.
Yep. And then one other point, some kiddos too, to carry this one step further, and I know we'll get into adult kids, because not everybody has baby kids, and I get that. But even sometimes you could teach 3 of these jars. What Dave says is each kid has 3 jars: a give jar, a save jar, and a spend jar. Young kids, keep it simple. Pay them equal thirds. If they're doing a chore and they get paid $3, teach them $1 goes into each jar, because they don't know what 10% is. Obviously, as they graduate with their math skills, then you say, okay, 10% in the give, and then 40% in save, or 45% in save and 45% in spend, and give them an exercise. What are you saving for? I want a Barbie doll. I want a video game. I want something. spend is more the impulse,
Mm.
save is something a little longer term, and give is and my wife and I still we still use that method when we have extra money. Oh, I got a whatever gift from mom for birthday. Oh, okay, 10% give. We're going to go blow some of it and we're going to save some of it. It's not in jars, it's in accounts, but we still use that same mentality.
So after that, you got to have them spend money. So we've got our kids understanding what money is. We've got them saving money. We've got them giving money. But now we need to have them spending money so they understand transactions. I see in the chat, Annette asked, what are some ways for children to earn money? We're going to get to that here in just a minute. Okay. So having them spend money, like Greg said before, at his garage sale, my wife had Leanne actually do the transaction, take the money, say, I want this, here's $1 for it. Every once in a while in the grocery store, I'll hand the cash to my Leanne or my son who's now 5, say, all right, here, hand this to the cashier so that we can buy the groceries. Or if birthdays or Christmas are coming up and they want to buy something for their nephews or nieces, or it's just nephews right now. If they want to buy something for their nephews for their birthdays, or grab something for Nana for Christmas, then they can bring their money and they can make that purchase at the store. I'm more than happy to walk them through that and just kind of guide them, but they can make that decision even though they're very young. So a simple action will be more impactful than a 5-minute lecture. So just sitting your kids down and talking to them for 5 minutes about this kind of thing, or talking to them for 30 minutes about this thing, that's going to have their eyes rolling and, oh, I don't want to sit still, or I can't sit still. But just walking through the action with them over and over and over, it builds that little pathway that they are then familiar with. And then once they're familiar with the pathway, they can walk that path without you. So looks like I did not finish this slide, but at any rate, I've got here opportunity cost. So I don't know if everybody's familiar with opportunity cost, but that's if I've got $5 and I have the option. I can buy a burger with that $5, or I can buy a taco with that $5, or a burrito, or whatever. There's that choice. You got to make the choice. Are you going to buy this, or are you going to buy that? And so having them understand that you can't have your cake and you can't eat it too. I don't know if anyone's ever thought about that little saying, but if you've got my cake and I have it, then I have it and I'm not eating it. But if I eat my cake, then I've eaten it and I no longer have it. So that's opportunity cost. And then with opportunity cost, you have to help them understand that there are more costs involved than you really realize. So let's a good example of this would be maintenance costs or ownership costs. My kids got bicycles for their Christmas gift a couple of years ago, and they rode them all through the yard, and we live out by a empty field, and they rode them all through the field and got goat heads all in the tires. Well, now daddy has to go change the tires out, and so there are maintenance costs to that. Not taking care of your toys correctly means you won't have many toys to play with. That's ownership costs. If you don't take care of things in a proper manner or use them in the way they're meant to be used, then you're not going to have them, and you're going to have to pay again for those same things. So that's I kind of bundled that in with opportunity cost, that when you're telling them, hey, if you buy this toy, you're no longer going to have the money to buy this other toy that you might want. Maybe you only buy this video game this month, because if you buy this video game, you're not going to have the money for whatever else you want to buy. So there's always that. Okay, I see what happened here. So on Mark 10 verses 17 through 23, when I formatted this slide, the text color changed. But Mark 10, 17 through 23 is the story of Jesus and the rich young ruler. So the rich young ruler comes up to Jesus and he asks, how do I obtain eternal life? And so that's the question there that I had written. And then the answer to that question, Jesus tells him, is to sell all your things and follow me. Sell all your worldly possessions, give all your money to the poor, and follow me. But the rich young ruler goes away downhearted and sad, because he knows he in his heart he can't do that. And so he's just given up eternal life. The opportunity cost for eternal life was giving away all his things and following Jesus. And he wasn't willing to make that trade. So he passed at the opportunity cost to have eternal life. So that's the best example I could, that really stuck with me in the Bible when thinking about opportunity cost and managing your money with the knowledge of opportunity cost, and using that story to teach opportunity cost to your kids. So now we're to, what are some of the ways the children to earn money? Okay, so here we are. There's no free lunch. Money is not earned. Money is earned. It's not given. So Dave Ramsey's got a quote that I really like, and it's, I don't get paid to turn oxygen into carbon dioxide. So I don't get paid to breathe. You don't get paid to breathe. Nobody gets paid to just live on the earth. You've got to work to earn money. You've got to create value to get money. So in our household, we do chores. And when I was growing up, if I wanted to get paid, I had to go mow the lawn. And so my first business venture, if you want to call it that, was going around the neighborhood with my lawnmower, knocking on doors and saying, hey, can I mow your yard for $20? And so I had a few takers on that, not very many, but I did get to mow a few yards for $20. That was before they had push mower. That was before they had self-propelled push mowers. So it was push mower all the way. So beware on your chores. Basic necessities of life do not count as chores. When you think about raising kids, we did a little parent seminar a while back, and the person leading the seminar said that you shouldn't look at them as kids. You should look at them as mini adults. So what do you want them to be capable of doing as adults? You need to build those habits and foundation while they're still children. So that way you know that they can take care of themselves. So doing the basic things to take care of yourself does not count as chores. Cleaning your room does not count as a chore. We don't pay our kids for that kind of a thing. If they want to get paid for something, they can do something that is outside of that. They can add value by helping with the dishes, because we're the adults and we need help with the dishes. I don't have time to always do the dishes. So if they want to add value to me by doing the dishes and helping with that chore, then they can get paid a little commission on that. If they want to help me by sweeping out the garage, that's a really helpful one. So that garage is full of cat fur. We keep our cats in the garage. They're outside cats. They come into the garage at night to avoid owls and that kind of thing, foxes and such, but builds up a lot of cat fur and it makes me sneeze. So if they want to go sweep it out, sure, there's a couple bucks that you can earn right there. There's always another chore at home that can be done. And if they take that off of my hands, because I see that as my job to take care of those things in the house, if they can take that off of my hand and go do it themselves, then they can earn a little money for that.
And Annette, does that, and you can jump on and not, you can either text or, I mean, message or meeting chat or turn your mic on, but does that help? And it's got to be communicated up front. Okay, kids, again, you know, I know that I give you X dollars a month or X dollars a week or whatever. This is to be, and I don't care if your kids are 8, 10, 17, 18, Diana, whatever. Guys, you know, we're just going to have a little family meeting here. I've done a good job of communicating this with you. I've done a not so good job of communicating this with you. I want to give you guys a chance to earn some extra money. What kid's not going to listen to that? I expect you to pick up your room. I expect you to da-da-da. I expect you to da-da-da. I expect you to da-da-da. As a matter of fact, here's a list. Go stick it on your bulletin board. We're going to stick it on the fridge, whatever. If you choose, after all of these are done, to come under the line and sweep the garage, mow the lawn, whatever, pick your sister up from school, whatever that case may be, that's worth this much. Again, it's that upfront communication that you have to have. And once you establish the ground rules, you know, she said, yes, got it. So I hope that helps you.
So with that, I mean, adulting, they've made the new term for it. I believe it got accepted into the dictionary, but adulting should not be hard if it's practiced early and often. We do a community karate class down at the community center here, and they've always got different classes. And adulting came up as one of the classes at the community center, and it just kind of made me stop and think for a minute. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of things about being an adult that's hard, but I mean, people have been adults for the beginning of time, and it's kind of one of those make it up as you go. And uh, if you practice it, it gets really kind of easy, and you're able to just keep on keeping on. And so just remember there are many adults, and if they want money, they can add value somewhere, and adding value makes you money. So anything that you would normally count as one of the things you have to do to be an adult. So the big thing here is like cleaning up toys. If they make the mess, then they have to clean that up. They don't get paid to clean up that mess. If they didn't make the mess, then maybe they get paid to clean up that mess. That's kind of the way. That's kind of where I draw my distinction in that. Then last thing on this slide here is Proverbs 6:6-8. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. And so it also, having them earn money in these ways keeps their hands from getting in trouble. That was one of the main things that kept me out of trouble over the years. I could have gotten in a lot of trouble if I had more time and less work on my hands, but being diligent at work has kept me out of a lot of trouble, and it keeps my kids out of a lot of trouble. And so just put your hands to work doing something, and you'll be out of trouble in no time. Okay, teaching kids money habits. Next point here is contentment. No one needs everything. Kids are impulse spenders by nature. Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understandings, will guide your hearts and your minds in Jesus Christ. So it always happens, never fails. We go to the store and we get to the checkout aisle, and there's all that candy there in the checkout aisle. There's all those little bags of chips. There's all those little trinkety toys. No impulse purchases. Find easy ways to say no to that. My go-to is, well, did you bring your money? And sometimes they've brought their money. They'll buy something. But if I just say, hey, I'm not paying for that. If you didn't bring your money, then you can't buy it. So, and then also in these impulse purchases, remember self-control. Is if they don't see you buying impulse purchases on a regular basis, then they're going to be less likely to buy impulse purchases on a regular basis. Your habits and your demeanor around your habits is what set the tone for how they are going to remember you and how they are going to remember that action in the future. If you are stressed out about something and buying an impulse purchase because of that, then in the future, if they have seen you do that, they might get stressed. They might be stressed about something and say, remember, oh, Dad, he was really stressed out and he bought this. Or Dad was really stressed out and he couldn't stop himself from buying a Coke at the store, or buying chips at the store, or whatever. So just be cognizant of yourself. Remember the little eyes are watching. Remember your self-control. And building contentment is also big. The big thing on building contentment is giving back. 1 Peter 4:10, as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. So I take that God has given a lot to us, and we need to be giving back, or we need to be using it to serve one another. We don't always need to be spending it on ourselves. So just because you have $10 doesn't mean I need to spend $10 on new toy, or I don't need to go to the store and buy all the Play-Doh just because my 2-year-old always wants Play-Doh. I need to be using that money to serve one another. So let's see here. Next point I've got is consistent discipline.
About 5 minutes or so, Byron, if you can hustle.
All right. So consistent discipline, always increasing responsibilities. Ephesians 6:4, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. It's about being always maintaining the same actions, showing them these pathways. If you've ever made a path through the brush, you've got to beat it down, and then you got to go back the next day and beat it down, and then the next day and beat it down. And so you're really laying that path in their hearts and on their minds so that they know the way to go when they become adults. Don't skip a day. For the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but later yields a peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained in it. And then show them the highs and lows. Sometimes you don't do so good. Sometimes you can share that with them and they will learn from that. So just walking them through the journey, holding their hand as they walk through the journey, and making sure that they understand that no one's going to be perfect at this. Everyone's going to have highs and lows with money. Everyone's going to fall into some kind of pit with money. Everyone's going to have that crisis of money. So let them see the process, let them see you struggle and overcome, and then practice the money habits together. And so last thing on the slide, nobody cares what you did yesterday. What matters most is what have you done today to better yourself. And that's by David Goggins. He's full of those kind of quotes. So it's consistency, consistency, consistency. All right. So moving to dealing with parents and extended family. I've got an Uno reverse card up here because dealing with parents can sometimes reverse the roles that you have to play when you're dealing with money. So be prepared. If you're going to talk to them about their money, be prepared in making a list of what you want to talk about. So like if you know that they don't have a plan going forward, help them write out a plan, or have a baseline plan prepared before you go talk to them about it. And then have answers prepared or have a game plan if you're going to go talk to your parents or family about money, or prepare with your spouse about getting asked those questions about money. There's nothing more stressful than sitting at the Thanksgiving table or sitting at the Sunday dinner table with the extended family and someone asks you a question about money and then you give an answer and your spouse did not want you to give that answer. That is going to be a tough car ride home. So talk to your spouse about combined answers for your extended family or for family gatherings. So just be prepared. Money is a huge topic in our lives, and we're going to be talking to people about it. They're going to be talking to us about it. And family can always make things messy when you're talking about money. When you're dealing with your parents and extended family, be clear about your boundaries with your money. Be clear about where you are at with your money. You don't need to give them all the details, but don't beat around the bush. Don't make them want to chase you for more answers. Just be clear, concise, and move on. They don't need to be in all your business, and you don't need to be in all their business, but sometimes you can give each other advice. With that, respect boundaries. Always approach money conversations with parents and extended family with humility. If you really have something on your heart that is, that they're doing wrong, this is going to be kind of awkward, but I think it's important. And then be prepared for how they might react. And know that just because you give them advice, they're adults. They can do however they want with money. And sometimes you have to love them through that. Be understanding of where they are and listen to their journey. So just because my journey looks a certain way doesn't mean it actually was that way from the outside looking in. And so if you actually listen to someone's story, it could end up, well, they went through a lot more trials than I saw on Facebook. So approach these conversations with humility. So last thing I've got here is everybody else. It's very similar to talking to parents and extended family about it. Be prepared for the questions and answers and have suitable answers for some of the questions that might get asked of you. Remember where your boundaries are. Enforce your boundaries with everybody else. Be willing to say, that's none of your business, and walk away from the conversation if need be. You don't need to share your financial health or your where you are in your finances with anybody. It's not required to share. And have humility when people ask you for advice. Have humility when you're sharing, if you choose to share. there's no, there's never going to be a time where you're going to satisfy everybody else. So be happy with a conversation that might not always end perfectly. So that's all I've got on relationships and money for this evening. If anybody's got any questions, go ahead.
Good stuff, Byron. Really great stuff. I could, elaborate on every one of these topics because again, I've had thousands of people in my office over the years, talking about each one of those. We're going to talk a little bit. I think it's our last session of this course on how to talk with aging parents or how to talk with parents. And then if you guys are the aging parents, how do you relay some information to your kids? Those of us who are going to be financially responsible, maybe for elderly parents, do we know where their safety deposit box keys are? Are we co-signers? Are they leaving us in a mess? How do you start the question with mom and dad? This is going to be important, might be a little awkward, but do you have long-term health care insurance? Some of those types of things. I will add this a little bit about singles because I know we have some singles in here. Hopefully you got some tidbits and some takeaways. Singles, you really, again, that's where Justin has said it and I'll preach it. Somebody to be a responsibility partner or an accountability partner to. And just, say, hey, your accountability partner, you don't want the answer to be, hey, that's a cute pair of shoes. Do you think I should buy them? Oh, yes, get one in every color. You need 3. That's not the kind of accountability partner you want. And also you don't need to go asking your broke brother-in-law for financial advice. Do you think I should buy this car? And so just be careful about, I guess who you're asking particular things to, from, about. Marriage and finances and communication, it's tough, but it's so peaceful if done right. All right, we can't go without a question or a comment or a takeaway. And if you want to type it. If you want to, Annette, you put it in the chat, so I don't know if it's appropriate for me to ask. I think it was after one of my comments you said wow with the little kind of type thing. Do you mind elaborating on did I hit a nerve?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I was just reminiscing. I am no longer married, but when I was, it was just challenging trying to do all of those things, as a couple. So,
any advice for us, for any of us, as far as maybe, or what you could do differently or might do differently, or if you get married again or something like that, kind of any words of wisdom or takeaways, or hey, I might try to do this a little bit differently or something? Did we lose Annette?
We don't hear her. Her speaker is on, but I don't hear.
Yeah, I don't either. Annette, if you're talking, unmute. It doesn't show that she's muted. Maybe we lost her mic. Somebody else jump in. Takeaway, question, point, I can work on this. I got this. We're doing this pretty well. Single questions. I really need an accountability partner. Again, this is a huge, huge topic, and we're throwing so much at you in such a short amount of time. So talk to us a little bit. Give us some feedback. What do you guys do with your kids? Something. Annette's saying having audio problems.
This is Carla. I don't have any kids, but I do have a lot of nieces and nephews that do have kids. And I like the idea of having the 3 little jars where they can save, spend, and I forgot the third one.
The most important one you forgot.
Save, spend,
Give.
Give. That's it.
And
So
then,
I like that. I like that. So I'm gonna pass that on.
Yeah. So if you give them a little, or if you happen to be in the teaching element, and it can be done with little. I've had some parents who did it with the little zippered pouches, the cute school zippered pouches, and they put a give on one, a save on another, and a spend on another. And again, age appropriate, of course. But if they're young, they understand putting $1 in each. They don't know what 10% is. But now all of a sudden, and if you're the parent or the guardian or whatever, hey, here's your $50 birthday present. Remember that first 5 goes into giving. And then take your 45 and, and again, divvy it up however you want. My mother taught me to save half and spend half. So, I would do $5 in the giving and then $22.50 a piece in giving and, saving and spending. And the saving, again, make them have a goal. What are you saving for? If I were to ask a little 8-year-old Ellie, Byron's daughter, hey, Ellie, what are you saving for? I bet you she could give me an answer. So she has that, and she knows she only has $7 in her save jar, and she knows she wants a Barbie that costs $14. You think she's going to go ask Dad if I can do a little extra chore? Because she knows that it's just not going to magically show up. And speaking of nieces and nephews, it was Tarver, right? Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Yep. So you probably, I'm playing with you here. You probably buy them stuff, correct?
More like give money.
Yeah, or give money to them. So
give money.
I am not going to tell you, but they know how to bat their pretty eyes and eyelashes and get something out of Aunt Tarver. So make sure. I'm not saying don't give your money to your nieces and nephews. Just say, okay, how often do I see them? About how much do I spend on them? And that should be a budget line item in your monthly, call a monthly line item nieces and nephews. And that's a monthly line item of $50 or $100 or whatever your budget allows, but again, and I don't know your situation. I haven't seen your budget, oh my gosh, I'm barely making ends meet. Well, I think, could we do $25 versus 50 or 100 or whatever, so that you get your finances in order, or debt free, or whatever your situation is. Wow, now I can really bless the socks off of my nieces and nephews. And I am going to say, I don't know, I am going to say one other thing regarding the debt snowball too. Some of you guys may be having a bunch of money pulled out of your paycheck and you're giving to retirement, and you've got a ton of debt and things are tight on a monthly basis. Well, if you pay off some debt, things aren't going to be so tight. So Justin did say this, I think, but don't be afraid to pause giving to retire. I didn't say forever. I didn't say for the rest of your life. What if you're giving $400 a month and having that taken out for retirement? What if you pause that for 1 year? What would that $4,800 do towards your debt snowball? And then resume it. And people look at me like I'm, like I've just told them to go shoot themselves or something. I can't stop doing that. Well, again, let's do stuff in the right order. Trust the baby steps, just like Byron worked, just like I worked. I know we're a little over. I'll go and you guys are more than welcome to start dropping off or say goodbye or whatever, but I will shut up. I promise I won't preach. Any other questions, takeaways, giveaways? I did promise you a free session for Justin if anyone wants to reach out to Justin. So 30 more seconds. Any questions, takeaways, aha moments? Laying the path.
This is Tarver again. I was just going to say that when I heard Byron speak of putting your retirement on hold, it was like my wig. I don't wear a wig, but I'm just being facetious. Jumped off my head. Like, what? I never heard of that.
Well, again,
but it makes sense. It makes sense. So yeah, I just have never heard that.
Not forever. Not forever.
Right.
Because if you didn't have the car payment or the credit card payment or whatever, and put that money towards it, then you're doubling and tripling what you're putting into retirement. Again, we talked about not trying to play every instrument in the band all at once.
Right,
Spread all
right.
the money. Focused intensity over time equals momentum. Focus on that first debt, whatever it is, $1,000, $2,000, whatever. Focus, knock it out fast. You get momentum. You feel like you can do this. Go to the second debt. Go to the third debt. I'm debt free. Man, I am going to kill retirement now. All right, I'm going to share my screen real quick to show you Justin's little. So if you go to Strong Tower Consulting, that's the name of Justin's business. Strong Tower Consulting. I got to move you guys. Let's go to his homepage here, main page. So he has a little button that says request a free session. strongtowerconsulting.com. He will work on you one-on-one privately. And then you just simply book a time on his calendar, and it'll be on Zoom one-on-one. So it looks like these are some dates and times that he has in October 23rd, 25th. So you would just click, okay, I can meet him the 5th at 7 p.m., whatever. And you would just book that appointment. I will tell you that, he will, again, every coach after the free session, did you get anything out of this? Would you like to hire me for X dollars a month, for the next 4, 5, 6 months? Some of you may need that. Some of you may not need that. Don't be offended. He will not be pushy. If after the 30 minutes, I really enjoyed talking to you, I don't feel like I want to be, to engage your services at anywhere from $200 to $500 a month, and some of you may say, well, I'm barely making ends meet. I can't afford that. Certainly understand. So I promised that I would throw that out there on his behalf for us getting to listen to him. And I'm going to offer the same for Kelly after you listen to Kelly. She's a female. Some of you may choose to female. So I'm done. Next week, we are going to talk about money saving tips. I put a little PDF together, 101 money saving tips. I want you guys to come prepared with your favorite money saving tip. Anything else, anyone? You guys are awesome. Hope you're getting something out of this. Let's see here. Takeaways. Yep. Got to stay at it. Byron, thanks so much. Let me close this in prayer. Father God, thank you so much for these individuals. Thank you so much for this class and for South Houston Bible Institute offering these types of services. Lord, every one of us is at a different walk and a different place in our financial journey. I pray that you will give us this day our daily bread. Help us to impart wisdom on our children, wisdom on these fellow classmates, wisdom on those that we come into contact with as it relates to finances. Be with us and bless us in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you all. I am going to shut up. And if you guys want to drop off, anyone want to stay on and chit chat, I'm here. See ya.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Give it 30 more seconds. Byron, great job. That was good stuff.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, that was well done. Well done.
Byron, this is Carla. Do you have an email address? I want to send you some information.
Yes, ma'am. My email address is my name at gmail.com. So byron.stickney@gmail.com.
Okay, at gmail. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go put the kids in bed. Thanks, Greg.
Yep, I'm going to hang out and see if Annette wants to talk or if she's still having computer problems and just can't log off or something. She was having audio problems. But Byron, yep, get out of here. Go put the kids to bed.
Have a good evening, Greg.
Tell Ellie that Mr. Greg said hello.
I will.
All right. And just very briefly, the 5-second version. How did it go today?
It went good. It went really well today. It was a good interview. So
Any words from Madewell? Not yet. Nothing.
No, they haven't followed up with me yet. So.
Okay. All right. Prayers and blessings.
All right. I appreciate it, Greg. Thank you.
Good night. Did you have anything in that personally one-on-one, or am I free to leave? Looks like you're still logged on. You may have walked away. So I am going to end this meeting in 3, 2, 1. Good night.